We are at Fitness Rangers. Got my friend, fellow trainer Jeffrey here. What we're going to be going through today is working corrective exercises for people that you might be training or even yourself. In another video, we looked at how to assess if somebody is capable of squatting and how they probably should squat, because again, not everyone should be squatting the same way, just the way we're built. But another issue that a lot of individuals have is they literally just don't have the mechanics ingrained in their head to do a squat, right? Nobody comes in and is able to throw a baseball, for instance, without a little bit of coaching, right? Everything takes a little bit of skill development. So what we're going to be working is corrective exercise to help someone learn the proper mechanics to squat today. So the first one is relatively the easiest. Jeffrey, go ahead, all fours for me. Let's put your head over there, feet over here. Okay, all the way down. Relax it, relax it. Now this is just to check, again, in this position it's very safe. He's on the ground with the legs, with his feet, with his hands. So we can get into deep hip flexion, and we can prop him up into a squat relatively easy in this position. Jeffrey, what I want you to do, walk your hands back and then kind of kick back onto your feet so you're into a squat. Go for it. Walk back, sit yourself down, come into it, and hold it. Cool. Kind of posture up for me if you can. And then crouch back down, walk it forward. And relax all the way on the ground. Good. So what we're doing here is we're teaching him, he's going from a place of control. We're forcing him to actively flex his knees and his hips, but because he's on the ground, it's much easier to passively get into that range of motion. Jeffrey, go ahead and go for it again. Try to keep your core a little bit tighter. Posture yourself up. You might have to run forward and posture up. Good. Hold it. Now, for Jeffrey, what's cool about this is that Jeffrey sometimes squats with his toes forward here because he's crawling backwards and he's trying to get into the squat essentially from a quadruped position on the ground where he's safe. He reactively will get into the proper hip flexion with the proper ankle and joint rotation outwards so that he can sit back in that position. Go ahead and stand up, relax. So it's just that kind of baby crawl back into a squat. Okay, that teaches somebody where active ankle, knee, and hip flexion are so that they can learn where the bottom is. All right, but with some tension because they're walking up into the squat, and then you just can have them walk forward and back a couple times. Now, that is great for having somebody find control and bracing into the bottom of the squat, but as Jeffrey was in the bottom there, right, long femur, knees and long torso, he has to round forward so that he can hold that squat. So if somebody is squatting and they have a hard torso lean, but they have good joint mechanics, wherein like we looked at the other video, how to check his foot position and his hip position when he's squatting, if he has that down, but perhaps he doesn't have the ability to brace in the backside of his body, we can do something that's called reactive neuromuscular training, and we can force the back line, right? So the erectors in his back, we can force his glutes, we can force those to stay on by putting a band around when he squats. So, Jeffrey, come over here. What I'm going to have you do? Let's go here. Yeah, face drag at the pole. Let's put this over your body, under your armpits. Perfect. Back up a little bit so you have some tension. All right, find your good squat stance. Okay, now I want you, you can hold the band if you want. You can have your arms at your side, but I want you to squat. Let the band kind of hold you up, and then feel the resistance to the backside of your body as you squat down. Go for it. Good. Back up. Perfect. Go again. And up. Good. One more. So as you see, he's getting deep flexion, but he is perfectly erect in this position. Go ahead and relax. Come out of the band. So what that's doing is it's having him engage the backside of his body so that he can get into the squat with the amount of rigidity in the upper body. Think of individuals who sit all day. The upper body in the back becomes dormant, and it's hard to engage those muscles. So if we give them something to pull on, it reactively forces them to have that good posture. Another thing we can do too, so say for instance, some people will squat and the knees will constantly come in. What we can do, you can use a mini band, but for instance, somebody like myself, I suffer from multiple knee injuries, so it's really just my left knee that I have to work on making sure that stays in a straight line with your toes when you squat up and down. So Jeffrey, come right here for me, face that direction. Scoot over a little bit. This way. There you go. Put this leg inside. There you go. Scoot out so you have some tension on that band. Okay. So for instance, if somebody has a problem, and so this right here, if somebody has the problem of squatting too far out and their feet come off the ground, this will force them to keep a little bit of tension through the inner thigh. So Jeff, go ahead and give me a squat. Come up. And just go slowly in tempo. When you do R&T, you want a slow tempo so they feel the muscles that are supposed to be reacting. Good. Come up. Jeff, you feel that kind of like inner thigh having to pull on that when you work up and down? Perfect. So get up, relax. So this is if somebody has too much of an external rotation issue when they're coming up. We can do the same thing. If we have Jeffrey turn around, go ahead and turn around real quick. And if somebody has the knees that collapse inward, we do the same thing and force the knee to push out, forcing the outer component of the hip to engage as they squat. Go ahead and go for it. Good. I probably have this a little too high. You want it to be about knee height when they're going, but now as Jeffrey comes up and down, Jeffrey, can you feel this hip turn on a little bit more?
Yep.
Yeah. So again, this just forces the individual to have a little bit of external resistance so that they can push themselves into a proper squat form as they come up and down. Good. Easy up. Relax. Good. Thank you, sir. Now, one more. So sometimes, just based off core or from the ground up, let's go both feet in. All right, let me pull that up around your hip. Perfect. Go ahead and squat over this way, or scoot over this way, face the camera. Thank you. Sometimes people, they'll shift in their squat, right? And that could be old tears or strains or injuries in their knee like myself. So what we can force them to do is use and push into that compensation. So go ahead and squat down. And so what Jeffrey's going to do is he's going to have to force his hips to push out this way. So if he was normally collapsing, like stick, there you go, good, 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 come up. Perfect. So this is the way to center the hips. Go ahead and come out real quick. So if someone's coming down, so if Jeffrey was squatting and he had one of these, right? Oh, I'm sorry, one of these. So we ran that way, and he's collapsing on this hip, and everything shifts this way. We can put that band on him to force him to stay centered. So when he comes up and down, and it's again, it's a reactive way to force the body to put itself into the right position without having to really like load the bar first, right? Because if we load compensation, it reinforces those patterns, and then that can lead to injury, right? So let's say we've done the baby crawl to the squat, so he's got the awareness of where to be in the bottom of the squat. We've done RNT. Now he needs to be able to do this on his own. So what we're going to do, Jeffrey, go ahead. Stand right here for him, please. Face me. Hold this ball out in front of you. So this is a reactive drop as well, or a reactive squat pattern as well, but we're going to go from a position where, hold this out in front of you. I'm not going to have you hold it too long. Because the ball's out in front, he's similar to the band, having to stay engaged to the back of the back line of his body. So go ahead and squat for me slowly. Now what's going to have to happen, go to full depth, drop it. Hold it. Yeah, so we have to force him to hold that position. Go again, and Jeffrey, check your toes. Again, to your good squat form that we just found a little while ago. There you go, arms out. Go slowly. Get to what's comfortable. Good. And then drop it. Hold it. Come up. Good. So he has his counterbalance in front of him. So it makes it easier for the back line of his body, all these muscles back here, to engage. And then as soon as he drops them, his brain has the memory of where he is in space. As soon as he drops it, he's got to actively engage those muscles. He doesn't have the external weight to force him to be in that position. So now we are telling his body where he needs to be. And then as soon as he drops the ball, he has to make sure those muscles stay tight so he doesn't fall over. So those are some different progressions for correcting someone's squat, right? We had the baby crawl that helps somebody get into the bottom actively. We have the RNT method, so we can band the back, we can band the knees, we can band the hips based on compensations that somebody might have when they squat. And then we have a full kind of open chain reactive squat where he has this external load that he has to hold and then brace as he comes down. And then when he drops, he has to hold that position as opposed to a band. And that, if someone can get to that position, if they're having trouble squatting, usually you can start loading with some of the lower levels of the squat, like a goblet or a bear hug squat. So that right there is just a nice, easy progression for doing correctives if you're trying to help someone squat correctly.